Our movie starts in 2001, and this is the wonder child Veda, who put on a Superman suit and thought he was Abbas ibn Firnas, deciding to fly off the building. We all know what's going to happen to him, so we see someone running to his mom, who works as a teacher, telling her, "Catch your son, he flipped off the building." She rushed to the hospital to check on him, and there she saw only his leg was broken. She sat to talk to him and asked why he did that, and he was really touched by superhero comics, saying, "I wanted to be one of them." She told him these are fictional characters and don't exist in reality, and if you really want to be a real hero, you can be a doctor saving patients, or an officer like your dad catching criminals, because these are the people who truly save the world. Here, the little kid decides to be a police officer like his father. Years go by until we reach 2024, and we go to the coast in the middle of the sea, seeing some fishermen in the water. They were almost finished until they saw a big ship and got happy, thinking it was a rescue. But it turned out to be the ship of Rana, the king of the seas. He sent his men down to beat them up, and anyone who saw the scene jumped into the water because he knew his fate. But it seems he doesn't know Rana, because Rana jumped after them, and after a while he came out of the water with his net, managing to catch the men. Anyone who tried to talk, Rana would mark him, because the whole coast belongs to him, and no one enters without his order. On the other side, we go to our hero Veda. Today was his graduation day from the police academy. We learn he kept chasing his dream until he finally made it. He's now a police officer after a long struggle. Unfortunately, his mother wasn't alive to see her son achieving his dream, but his father was there, very proud of his son, who goes to work in a new and fiery precinct. Everyone there welcomes him, saying, "Welcome to the place, boss." But our guy looks at his body and finds him a bit chubby, so he thinks this precinct is sleepy and doesn't do anything useful. From the first day, he decides to pass by the port he's supervising to see who the shady traders are and who the straight ones are. Ariane tells him everyone here is shady. Veda says, "But I only see small fish in the port. Why don't you introduce me to the big fish?" He tells him the big one is Bagheera, a thug who's always making trouble. "Okay, and what about the great white shark then?" He tells him that's Katyan, who controls the whole port, and nothing happens here without his order. His friend puts it in his head to get rid of them. One day he was with Narayan, his assistant, and he sees some thugs harassing young girls. Before he goes to teach them a lesson, a beautiful girl named Sneha appears and hits them, also supporting the girls to get their rights until those wimpy kids run away. Our guy is impressed by her and liked her look. The next day he was in his office asking his assistant about the case files he told him about. He gives him a wink and says, "The papers are in the drawer." He discovers it's full of money. Narayan says, "Calm down. This is just a little something from the fishermen and the people working shady jobs, so you'd leave them alone." Our guy loses it and goes out with a big raid on the fishermen who wanted to play him, but he was up for it and threw them all in jail. He also went and closed a few shady spots working in his district and made a mess in the whole area. All the news talked about him because no officer could do what he did. From then on, even the tough guys who didn't care about the police would run away the moment they heard his name. His father wanted him to get married and be happy, and although he refused the idea, he went with him so he wouldn't upset him. He even agreed to see the girl his father and her father agreed on for marriage. He was about to leave before she arrived, but when she showed up, it was a surprise because it was Sneha, the girl he already liked. Anyway, he's very happy and decides to sit with her alone. Before he says anything, she speaks and says, "I know you're here just to not upset your dad, and I'm the same. Since I'm a doctor and you're an officer, and neither of us has time, I think we shouldn't rush and agree immediately. First, let's spend time together and see if we're comfortable with each other." He agrees immediately, and their love story begins from here. They get closer and closer, and it seems the hook is set because she goes to tell her father she loves him, and he agrees, and they get engaged, and everyone is happy. One day we see a mother and her daughter walking on the beach, and some thugs kidnap the girl and run away quickly. When our guy finds out, he brings one of the criminals he has and tortures him to tell him where the kidnapped girls go. He tells him, "In Bugari's area, and if you're a man, go there." He doesn't wait, takes his men and flies there, even though Narayan advises him not to go. The moment he arrives, the thugs there throw burning barrels at him, thinking he'd get scared and back off, but he got down and clashed with the men there until a guy with braided hair comes out to provoke him. Even though this was a trap for him to get inside the area and get jumped, no one could even touch him. He managed to catch that guy and went back with him while hitting the rest of the men until their leader Bagheera appeared. Very angry because the police came to mark him, Narayan says, "This is a new officer and he doesn't know." So Bagheera grabs him by his uniform, and this is what drives our guy crazy, because a police uniform shouldn't be touched that way. He gives him a kick that sends him flying in front of his men, takes him, and throws him in the police van, taking him back to the station to the point that no one believed he did that to Bagheera. At the same moment, the news reaches the big shark Katyan, who makes his phone calls to stop this farce. At that time, the police chief calls our guy to his office. When he arrives, he thought he was going to be honored, but the chief tells him, "Enough is enough, and I don't want you playing hero again, because the thugs you caught, we work with them and make money off them." He's shocked by what he hears and tells him, "And I thought you were respectable. My dad used to say you're a good person." His father enters, scolds him and says, "Don't talk to our chief like that. He took 500,000 from me to mediate for you in the police academy." Here comes the bigger shock. Even his father was part of this game. I mean, the person he thought was a hero didn't turn out like he thought. His father gives him the shock here and tells him, "I was a hero for us, my son. Your mother was diagnosed with cancer and would have died if not for the bribes I was taking. She wouldn't have stayed alive for 6 extra years. This is the system, son, and it's how it goes. And you have to wear a mask to be able to live in it." Our guy goes out to sit by the sea, drinking alcohol, wanting to forget everything he heard, unable to process the corrupt system he became a part of. The next day, he finds the woman whose daughter was kidnapped crying in front of the station because the men who kidnapped her came back and assaulted her, and the station isn't moving or doing anything. That's why the girl sets herself on fire in front of the station, and her eyes were on our guy's eyes. He ran with all his speed to save her, but the fire was faster than him and unfortunately finished the girl off. From here, our guy decided to transform. He left the station and walked away to remember his mother's words when she told him he must be a hero and achieve justice in reality, and remembered his father's words when he told him he must wear a mask to live in this system. So he actually wore a mask, but this time to change the whole system. He went to the gang that assaulted the girl and started hitting them. If his uniform as a police officer won't get people's rights, then his suit as a superhero is what will get them. He started killing them in a very brutal way to be a lesson to anyone who thinks of doing something wrong again. The last one he sets on fire, just like the girl did to herself. All of this was seen by a kid at the port, and he was terrified until the police arrived later. Narayan was with them and saw the amount of people killed, and he was shocked until he found the kid and asked him how many people attacked those men. He told him it was only one person who did this to them, and he looked like Bagheera. This name in Hindi means the predatory panther. News spread everywhere about a killer named Bagheera who only kills shady people. Our guy's mission to achieve justice begins, but in the morning he's a corrupt police officer who takes bribes so no one suspects him. And at night he transforms into Bagheera and goes to get the rights of every wronged person. He became like a trademark for criminals. The police didn't have to work anymore because there's a superhero who will get the rights of the oppressed. One day while he was hitting one of the criminals, a girl filmed him and posted his picture, calling him a hero, but his eyes were visible. That's what Narayan noticed and started doubting the change that happened to his director, because he came in excited and suddenly started taking bribes. And a new hero appeared in the city, and from his eyes, he feels he is Bagheera. That's why he invites him to his house, to show him his paralyzed son and explain to him indirectly why he takes bribes. In the same way, he lets him understand that he knows his truth because from his eyes, he knew he is Bagheera, the folk hero who over the days gets the rights of the oppressed and has transformed into a hero everyone loves and is reassured that he will save them if the police ignore them. But all this came negatively on our guy's life because he became busy and stopped answering his fiancée Sneha, who goes to see him at home. He gives her the cold shoulder and even tells her, "We're not going to continue together because I don't love you." At that time, she was shocked and didn't believe what she was hearing, but he only did that to keep her away from him because his life is always in danger. We go to a fearless journalist named Ranjan, who knows information about Bugari and published it in the newspaper he works for. The other one, when he found out, got angry and attacked him, tortured him in front of his family until he finished him off. He even threw him in the street to be a lesson to anyone who thinks of coming against him. When the officer comes, he makes a report that street dogs were the ones who killed him because no one could testify that Bugari killed him. But for who? Bagheera is here. At night, at a party the gang is throwing, he managed to arrive with his mask and hunted Bugari. With him was a guy named Siddhi, the minister's son, who was agreeing on a shady deal with him. So he hit two birds with one stone and finished them both off. He also threw them in the street so people would know there's someone who will protect them. Those people testified to the officer that the dogs were the ones who did that to them. So he'd get a bit intimidated and do his job. A new person appears in the story, Yogi, who meets Katyan and says, "What's wrong, Katyan? Why didn't you do what the boss told you?" He says, "I'll do it, I swear. Just give me some time. It's only 3 days. And if I'm late in the work you mentioned, the boss himself will come to deal with you." That's why Katyan gets terrified and tells his men to kidnap any girl that comes their way. When our guy returns to the station, he finds more than 80 complaints because their daughters are kidnapped. He's shocked by what's happening and doesn't know what to do until he manages to pinpoint the location of the phone of one of the kidnapped girls, whose last appearance was in Katyan's area in the port. This is a place the police can't enter, but our masked guy enters normally and sees all these girls coming out of a container. He learns the boss is human trafficking. But one guy sees him and shouts at him, and then everyone knows his location and they jump him. He starts killing them one by one, but they were more than him, so he had no choice but to escape through the sea. When he jumps in, Katyan doesn't stay silent and keeps shooting at him. Later we see him shot in the shoulder, going to his lover Sneha's house, who treats him because she's a doctor. She takes out the bullet, and the moment he wakes up, he looks for his mask. He finds her standing in front of him, giving it to him. He takes it because he has a mission he must finish. Here she appreciates the situation and goes back to wearing his ring again after she knew why he does all this. We see him arriving at Katyan's house, and the surprise was he was waiting for him, saying, "You shouldn't have come to see what you saw, so you wouldn't know that Rana the leader won't leave you alone, nor will he leave me alone either, because someone entered his area." He shows him his wife and daughter, whom he just finished off instead of Rana coming and finishing him off. He tells him, "Get ready for death," takes out a gun, and kills himself. Our guy is shocked by what's happening and wants to know who this Rana is. We see Rana arriving at the port, and we learn he is the king of human trafficking in all of India. When he learned Bagheera entered his port, he went crazy and killed some men there because they couldn't protect his work. On the other side, we see the inspector burying the minister's son, Siddhi, and the minister tells him he considered him his father, so he must get his right. So he decided to challenge Bagheera for killing the minister's son. From here, the movie looks like it'll heat up more because everyone wants Bagheera now, whether the criminals or the corrupt officers. That's why the inspector holds a meeting with all police officers and shows them the world of crimes Bagheera did and how he killed people in a terrible way. And everyone must focus on their work to catch him. Veda was in his office researching this Rana and doesn't find anything except that he was a street kid who worked with a man who made his life hell. So he threw gasoline on him and set him and his house on fire. His face was burnt from that day, but he was walking like a beast until he could put out the burn that stayed with him for the rest of his life. Narayan comes to him and says, "There's a hacker kid named Akash who hacked our station's system." He goes to arrest him, but Bagheera decides to be crazy and offers him to work with him to employ his skills for good. Instead of hacking police systems, hack Rana's system and find out where his trade is. Actually, the kid agrees, but everything is for money. That's why our guy brings him some devices and makes him a small cyber hub, and this becomes their headquarters. An idea comes to our guy to be strong and able to face many guards alone, to make a suit like superhero suits. Indeed, he starts making the suit, and with it his mask, brings a new bike and modifies it to be fast. It seems he wants to be the Indian Superman. Akash manages to hack Katyan's phone and finds many invoices on it. But he's surprised because all these invoices were called from one place, and he can pinpoint it. At that time, our guy takes his bike and flies to that place. We learn it's the place where people are kidnapped and their organs are taken. It's like an underground hospital. But our guy reaches it, throws a bomb to blow up the wall, and enters with all elegance, hitting the men inside, killing them one by one. No one can even touch him until he enters their operating room and kills everyone inside. He sees a doctor they kidnapped to do the surgeries for them. The doctor says, "I swear if I didn't do what they said, they'd finish off my father." Veda says, "You'd kill a 15-year-old girl so an 80-year-old can live? Take this bullet." After he finished his mission, he left the place and went out. At that time, all the news comes to report what happened. The inspector is there and wants to know who made all this mess. The people who were kidnapped tell him one person did all this, and he is Bagheera, the hero. The inspector gets more and more annoyed because he became a folk hero. We see him reaching all of Yogi's places and started destroying his trade one by one, and his fame grew more. This drove the inspector crazy, wanting to reach him in any way. After some research in his photos, he notices his grip on the gun and says to his men, "We're looking in the wrong direction because that grip says Bagheera was trained in the army or police. Search for police officers who were in the commandos and see which precinct took the cases whose owners Bagheera killed." Here Narayan heard what he said, so he flew to his precinct and started deleting all the reports they made before the inspector reached them. This made the inspector surprised because Veda's precinct didn't have any complaints. Anyway, Rana knew all his work was destroyed. His assistant Yogi comes. He should have killed him because in work he doesn't joke. But he decided to give him one last chance and tells him, "If you can't reach Bagheera, let him reach us. Open your phone and you'll find him here." Actually, the moment he opens his phone, Akash can pinpoint his location. So Veda takes his bike and flies to that place. At that time, he finds guards around him from everywhere. Also, the beast Rana he was looking for appears and says, "You came here on your own feet for this to be your end." But our guy threw 2 bombs at him, so Rana grabs 2 men to shield himself from the bombs. From here, the action and excitement begin, and our guy is hitting everyone, and no one can beat him. Yogi says to Rana, "Let's fly. We have traitors waiting for us." So he goes with him and leaves his men to finish off Bagheera, who turned on them, killing them one by one without mercy. This was under Rana's eyes, seeing his men die before him by the hero who destroyed half his trade, but he can't do anything and leaves in the end. Our guy continues his action until someone wounds him in the stomach with a knife. He flips in the air and finishes him off, continuing on the rest of his friends until they all jump him at once and pin him down. At that time, he activates the taser technology in his suit and manages to blow them all away. Every time he gets a wound, he goes to the lover of his heart to treat him. At that time, he explains to her why he wants her to stay away from him, so she doesn't get attached to him because death is inevitable for him, and also afraid someone would threaten him through her. That's why he stays away from her, but she gets more attached to him because he's a person who loves his country and gets the rights of the oppressed. On the other side, the inspector is still working on the case, wanting to know who Bagheera is, until his assistant comes and tells him, "We found a report made in Veda's precinct, but not registered on the system, and it looks like someone deleted it." Here he starts doubting and reviews the system again, learning that all reports were deleted. Here doubt takes over him, so he brings an old officer in this precinct to tell him about the personalities of the officers he has. He tells him about all of them until he reaches Veda and says, "He was very human and did his work perfectly and didn't take bribes until the negotiator scolded him. So he changed and started taking bribes." The inspector asks, "When did he change?" "The day the girl set herself on fire in front of the station, boss." Here he connects that this day was the beginning of Bagheera's appearance. After reviewing Veda's and Bagheera's videos and comparing them, he sees they're the same person in everything. Even the gun grip is the same. When he puts the mask on his face, he's sure Bagheera turned out to be Veda. In that moment, a corrupt officer sees him, films him, and sends it to Yogi, who tells Rana, "Finally found the person you're looking for." Veda was in his hideout. Akash could pinpoint Yogi's location for him, so he goes out to see him. This is what his father saw, so he went down to see what's happening in the basement below. Here he's shocked when he learns his son is Bagheera, who kills people. He was very upset because his life is in danger, and not just his life, because Rana managed to reach his lover and called him to come catch her. But he also tells him that there are people at the port who will drown. See who you'll go save. Veda knows what he will do because now, in his Bagheera persona, he goes to the girls at the port and leaves his lover. He finds many people who will die, so he keeps holding them so none of them die. At the same time Rana finished off his lover, unfortunately, our guy resists and doesn't know what to do until the police arrive and take these people down before they die and arrest him. So Bagheera's story ended because the police take him to a distant place to finish him off. Although this officer was refusing the idea of finishing off a hero like him, the corrupt officer didn't care and went down to kill him, if not for the other officer catching him and finishing him off, saving our guy. At the same time, the inspector goes to the minister and tells him, "I lost this mission and couldn't know who killed your son." The minister gets angry at him and kicks him out, but the inspector was happy with this loss because the most important thing is not to lose a hero like Bagheera. That's why he was the one who ordered this officer to protect him and let him live. He also talks to him on the phone and says, "I let you live because you achieve what we can't achieve. Rana kidnapped more than 2,000 people in a train and will take them out of the country, and your mission is to stop what's happening because these people will be sold as spare parts." Veda flies from here, and right from the start he begins by breaking the necks of the guards there. He enters a battle with them, but they were many and managed to hit him. But before they finished him off completely, he took out a new weapon and finished them off. This weapon is a flexible belt in the shape of a sword he kills with. After he managed to save the first car, he goes up on the roof of the train to do some action. Up there, he takes care of whoever comes in front of him until Yogi comes to him, acting like a hero, but our guy finishes off his men. At that time, Yogi says, "I'm out," and jumps off the train. The big danger remains, which is Rana, who saw a difficult childhood, and that's why he became strong, as we see. He managed to knock off our hero's mask and gave him a kick that sent him flying, then went down to the train again thinking he got rid of him. But Veda enters again with a kick that sent him flying, and it's a beatdown. All that's in his mind is his lover who died at the hands of someone like this. He breaks a mirror on Rana's head, takes a sharp piece from it, and finishes him off in revenge for everyone who died because of him. After that, he goes out to separate the train from the lead car to stop it, goes down to open the train cars to let all the people out. In the end, he managed to save them. Days pass and we see the inspector in the central minister's house giving him the human trafficking case file of Rana. The minister says, "Okay, you handle it." The inspector says, "No, take the new news. We all know that all this work you make money from, and I have papers proving all this. So you resign without a fuss instead of me sending Bagheera to do it with you." And that was the end of every oppressor and corrupt person. And with that, our movie today ends. And if you need to support me, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. That's it. See you next movie.